Now then, have you ever considered the peculiar fate of a man who lives in a world where the sun never sets? I don't mean the midnight sun of the far north, where the light is a long amber twilight, but a world of total, unremitting high noon glare. A world where there is not a single sliver of gray, not a corner of a room that isn't saturated with brilliance, and not a leaf on a tree that casts a silhouette. You might think at first how marvelous to live in eternal day, to banish the night forever. But you would find within a very few minutes that you were effectively blind. You see, sight is not the perception of light alone. Sight is the perception of the difference between light and shadow. If you have nothing but light, you have a blank, featureless void. It is a whiteout, just as disorienting and just as empty as a blackout. To see a mountain, you must see the dark crevices where the light cannot reach. To see a face, you must see the shadows under the cheekbones and beneath the chin. The shadow is not the enemy of the light, it is the light's collaborator. It is the artist's charcoal that defines the edges of the universe. And yet, in our own lives, in our frantic, somewhat desperate attempt to be evolved or good, we behave like people trying to banish the night. We have decided that the light represents our virtues, our consciousness, and our spiritual aspirations, while the shadow represents our fears, our hostilities, our naughty impulses, and our inconvenient biological hungers. We spend an enormous amount of energy trying to be all light. We want to be a kind of high noon of morals, a person without a shadow. But look at the cost of this enterprise. The more you try to be perfectly white, the more colorless you become. You lose your depth. You become a cardboard cutout, a two-dimensional caricature of a human being. Because you see, the you that you are so proud of, the ego that is trying so hard to be spiritual, is only one end of a spectrum, and you cannot have a spectrum with only one color. We are caught in a game of black and white, but we have forgotten that it is a game. We think it's a war. We think that black is trying to conquer white, and white must eventually destroy black. But if white were to finally and totally destroy black, white would disappear too. They are what we call mutually arising. They are like the poles of a magnet. You can take a hacksaw and cut a magnet in half to try and get rid of the South Pole, but the moment you snip it, the new North Pole suddenly develops a new South Pole at its other end. You haven't gotten rid of it, you've just made the magnet smaller and more frustrated. This is the fundamental snag in the quest for purity. The more pure you try to be, the more you notice the impurity you're trying to avoid. The light and the dark are not two things, they are two ends of the same thing. Now, why are we so terrified of our shadow? Why do we treat our own inner darkness as if it were a monster under the bed? It's because we have been sold a bill of goods. We have been taught that we are separate from the universe, and that as separate entities we must maintain a civilized front. We are afraid that if we let our shadow out of its cage, we will revert to being animals, as if being an animal were some sort of disgrace. But have you ever looked at a wild animal? A tiger, for instance. A tiger is a rascal in the most magnificent sense. It is a ruthless predator, yes, but it is also a masterpiece of grace and poise. It doesn't have a shadow in our psychological sense because it doesn't have an ego that is trying to be a good tiger. It doesn't apologize for its claws. It just tigers. And because it accepts its dark side, its predatory nature, it is a whole, integrated being. It has what we might call integrity. We, on the other hand, are disintegrated. We are divided against ourselves. We have an I that wants to be a saint and a me that wants to be a scoundrel, and these two are constantly at each other's throats.
The I is the spotlight of our conscious attention, focused on our ideals. The me is everything else, the vast, humming, pulsing unconscious that runs our hearts, our lungs, and our unseemly desires.
We call this me the shadow, but the shadow is simply the back of the mask. You see, the word person comes from the Latin persona, which was the mask worn by actors in the ancient theatre. The mask has a front, the role, and a back, the reality. If you only show the world the front of the mask, you are a phony, and there is nothing more tiresome than a holy phony. They are the people who are so good that they make everyone else feel slightly ill. They lack gravity, they lack humor, and above all, they lack compassion, because you cannot have compassion for others if you are at war with yourself. To befriend your shadow is to realize that the scoundrel inside you is an essential part of the divine play. It is the rascality of the universe. The universe isn't just loving and peaceful, it is also explosive, ruthless, and utterly indifferent to our moral categories. It is a great game of hide and seek, and in this game, the dark is the hiding place. If the universe didn't have a shadow to hide in, it couldn't play with itself. Think of a great story. If you have a story with only a hero and no villain, you have no story, you have a bore. You need the adversary to move the plot forward. Without the test of the shadow, the light would never know its own strength. One of the most revealing ways to meet your shadow is to look at the people who infuriate you. We all have them, those individuals who seem to possess a unique talent for getting under our skin. We find them arrogant or greedy or narrow-minded or aggressive. We feel a righteous indignation in their presence. We want to fix them or silence them, or at the very least tell everyone else how awful they are. But here is the secret that the ego doesn't want you to know. Your hostility toward others is almost always a projection of your own unacknowledged shadow. The person you despise is a mirror. They are acting out a quality that you have suppressed in yourself. If you were truly at peace with your own capacity for arrogance or greed, you wouldn't be triggered by it in someone else. You would see it as a happening, like a dog barking or a car honking. You might find it inconvenient, but you wouldn't find it offensive. When you point a finger at the evil out there, 3 of your fingers are pointing back at the actor in here. We love to play the game of us versus them, the children of light versus the children of darkness. It gives us a sense of purpose. It makes us feel solid and justified. But it is a very dangerous game because it prevents us from seeing the common humanity that underlies our differences. If you don't know your own shadow, you will see it in the enemy. And when you see the shadow in the enemy, you feel perfectly justified in being ruthless toward them. This is the root of all holy wars, all inquisitions, and all political purges. The good people feel they must exterminate the bad people to protect the light. But in doing so, they become the very darkness they claim to be fighting. They become monsters of righteousness. To befriend your shadow is to take back your projections. It is to say, yes, I see that arrogance in you, and I recognize it because it is also in me. I have the capacity to be just as narrow-minded and just as aggressive as you are. This doesn't mean you approve of their behavior. It means you understand it. And understanding is the only thing that can actually dissolve the conflict. As long as you are fighting the shadow in others, you are strengthening it in yourself.
But when you acknowledge the shadow in yourself, you find that your hostility toward others begins to soften. You become more tolerant, more patient, and more humorous. You realize that we are all in the same boat, all masked actors trying to figure out our roles in this cosmic drama. In the Zen tradition, there is that famous riddle, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Now, the ego tries to solve this by thinking. It tries to imagine a silent sound, or it thinks of a mental snap. But the point is that you cannot have a clap with one hand. A clap is a collision. It is an event that requires two. In the same way, existence is the clap produced by the collision of opposites. You cannot have up without down. You cannot have back without front. You cannot have is without isn't. If you try to have only is, only light, only being, the clap of life stops. The silence of the one hand is what we call the void. It is the source. But the source wants to clap. It wants to manifest. It wants to be something. And to be something, it must split into two. It must create a shadow. Your life is the clapping of your light and your shadow. If you try to silence your shadow, you are trying to turn existence back into the void. But you are already the void. You don't need to go back there. You are the universe pretending to be a person, and the person you are pretending to be is a rhythm. A rhythm is not a solid thing. A rhythm is a coming and going. It is sound and silence. If you have only sound, you have a noise. If you have only silence, you have nothing. But if you have sound followed by silence, and then sound again, you have music. To befriend your shadow is to accept the silences in your life. It is to accept the downbeats. It is to realize that your failures, your depressions, and your fears are the gaps between the notes. They are what give the music its shape. They are not interruptions of the light. They are the intervals that make the light meaningful. Consider the nature of time. We are obsessed with the future. We are always reaching for the next moment, the next success, the next spiritual breakthrough. We treat the present as a means to an end. But the future is a shadow. It doesn't exist yet. It is a mental projection. And the past is also a shadow. It is a memory trace. The only light is the now. But the now is so thin, so elusive, that we can't grab it. The moment we try to hold the now, it's already gone. It has slipped into the shadow of the past. So to live in the light is to stop trying to grab it. It is to flow with the clapping of time. It is to accept that every beginning is a death of what came before, and every ending is a birth of what comes after. The shadow of death is not the opposite of life. It is the condition for life. If things didn't die, if they didn't vanish into the shadow, there would be no room for anything new to appear. Think of a flame. A flame is a process of destruction. It is consuming the wax or the wood. It is creating light by creating shadow, smoke, and soot. If you want the light of the candle, you must accept the burning of the wax. You cannot have the light without the consumption. Your ego wants to be a light that never burns out. It wants to be a flame that doesn't consume anything. But that is a biological impossibility. You are alive because you are burning. You are conscious because you are changing. And change is the shadow of permanence. To be at peace with your shadow is to be at peace with your mortality. It is to realize that the real you, the universe, is not afraid of death, because the universe is the one who is doing the dying. The universe is playing at being you, and it will eventually play at being someone else. It's like a grand masquerade ball. When the clock strikes midnight, you take off the mask of John or Mary, and you see that underneath you were the host all along. A whole human being is not a perfect human being. A whole human being is a complete human being. They are someone who has owned their darkness. They are someone who can say with a glitter in their eye, "I am a saint and I am a sinner. I am a genius and I am an idiot. I am a hero and I am a coward. And isn't it all marvelous?" When you reach this integration, you find that your shadow is no longer scary. It becomes your sense of humor. It becomes your creativity. It becomes your vitality. Because you see, all the energy that you used to spend repressing the shadow is now free. You have unlocked the basement of your soul, and you found that it isn't full of monsters, it's full of treasure. It's full of the raw power of life. It's full of the spontaneity that you had as a child before you were told to be good. This is the reframing of the human experience. You are no longer a soldier in a cosmic war. You are an artist creating a masterpiece. And an artist knows that you need all the colors on the palette. You need the deep indigos and the charcoal grays just as much as the bright yellows and the pure whites. Imagine a painting of a sunlit forest. If the artist only used white and yellow paint, you wouldn't see a forest, you would see a blur. To show the sunlight, the artist must paint the dark trunks of the trees. They must paint the deep shadows in the undergrowth. The shadows are what bring the sunlight to life. You are that painting, and the great artist, the universe, is not ashamed of your shadows. The universe is delighted by them. They give you character, they give you texture, they make you unique. So, as we sit here together in this moment, I want you to invite your shadow to the table. Don't fight it, don't judge it, just be with it. Feel the weight of your body, feel the tension in your heart, feel the fear of the unknown, and then breathe. Breathe in the light, breathe out the shadow, and realize that the breath is one. You are the dance of the opposites. You are the clapping of the hands. You are the now that is both the past and the future. You are the light that knows itself by befriending the dark. There is nowhere to go because you are already at the center of the circle. There is nothing to achieve because you are already the whole show. You are the sun, and you are the shadow it casts. And when you truly understand this, the war is over. You can stop trying to be good and start being real. And being real is the most spiritual thing you can possibly be. The light is shining, the shadow is dancing, and you are the one who is watching it all. Go out into the world and be the light by befriending the dark. Be the whole thing. And remember, the shadow is only a sign that there is light nearby. If you didn't have a shadow, you wouldn't be real. So thank your shadow. It is the anchor that keeps you from floating away into a sterile white abstraction. It is your connection to the earth, to the body, and to the great mystery. The sun is setting now, and the shadows are growing long. But see how beautiful they are. See how they stretch out to touch the world. The night is coming, and with the night come the stars. To know the light, you must befriend your shadow, and then you can simply be.